We are back in
Hey,
the
hey, hey,
United
hey.
States. Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So I guess we were here last week too. So this is our second week in the United States. Hi. We're shell shocked.
Yeah.
So we are here tying up loose ends.
Yeah, we needed to clear up some things that we didn't clear up before, when we left the first time. So we made some boo boos along the way, and now we're here to pay the piper, so to speak.
Yes, we made some rather blunderous mistakes, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the biggest mistakes that folks make in moving abroad, and then we will tell you what mistakes we made in that list. But you'll want to stick around until the end because the biggest mistake that we made, I think a lot of folks can relate to, and especially the OBU audience, fellow utopians.
Yes.
So you definitely want to stick around to the end to hear that. But first, Rashida Dow over at Cheetahs on the Loose, a friend of the channel, did two videos actually before about the move abroad mistakes. So we want to continue that conversation and talk about the mistakes that we made and the mistakes that we've seen going forward.
Yeah, and just to make sure, we didn't make all the mistakes that we're going to be talking about, but we made some, and we don't want you guys to make the same mistakes on your moves. But let's introduce ourselves.
Hey, y'all. My name is Halisi.
And I'm Rick. Welcome to our Black Utopia.
On our channel, we talk about money, we talk about travel and retiring abroad as we build generational wealth.
Yes.
Right? We help folks who are getting close to retirement age and forgot to plan, get their money straight so that they can retire on time or maybe even early.
Yeah.
Right? So any information that you want regarding that, you can find in the description below. But first, if you are new to our channel, then you may not know about 7 years ago, Rick and I got a wake-up call as we got close to retirement age.
Yes.
We did not have our money straight. We did not have anything in our savings. Well, not nearly enough.
Yeah,
not
we had
even
some, but
we
not
had some.
enough.
We had some, but not nearly enough. But about 4 years ago, we got our financial act together. We understood what we were doing wrong, and we went from negative 22,000 to over 1 million in net worth.
Yes.
And you can do the
You can
same
do
thing,
it.
or even better.
Oh, yes.
Even better, right? So we're not telling you all of this to say, look at us. Ain't we
No.
all that? No.
No.
We're telling you this because if you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling like you're not living the life of your dreams and you are of a certain age, it is not too late. If you're 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus, it is not too late. It's not too late. So with that, let's get started with the biggest mistakes that we made, what we would do differently now that we are Black expats or immigrants to Portugal, however you want to look at it. Number one, we like lists. We like lists. Keeps everything nice and straight. Go ahead.
So the first thing is, and not so much us, but people do, is insufficient research.
Yes, insufficient research. So, failing to thoroughly research your destination can lead to unexpected challenges and difficulties. It's crucial to understand the culture, the language, the cost of living, job market, and other important aspects before making that move. So, um, we know that there have been a lot of folks who have moved to Portugal, especially when it was really, really easy to get a visa. They moved to Portugal, and then a couple of years later, they're gone. They're not there anymore.
Mhm.
And I think, a lot of it is because they did not do sufficient research and did not understand the implications of the culture, did not understand the tax implications. And so one of the mistakes that we made is not thoroughly understanding the tax implications. We should have actually talked to a Portuguese tax person before we made that final decision. I understood what our, under NHR, what our taxes would be for a pension. But now that YouTube is making a few bucks, what are the tax implications of that?
Yeah.
And where are we paying taxes? So having the tax person on that we had on about 2 months ago helped. It started getting me to ask more questions. The questions that I should have asked in the first place.
Right. And then, our tax person here in the States has been phenomenal.
She's been great,
Yeah.
but she knows it from the United
From
States
this
point of view,
perspective, right.
Not from the Portuguese point of view and what we would have to do. What happens to a New Dawn Productions? Do we have to register it in? So if you're going to do a side hustle and you're planning to move abroad, you need to understand, once you are in the black with your side hustle, are there tax implications with that, etc. And so, cost of living, we'll talk more about underestimating cost, but the job market, we don't suggest. The whole point in general of moving abroad is to make American dollars and move to a place where those dollars go further. Even in the exchange rate, they still go further, right? So right now in Portugal, the euro is worth more than the dollar.
Yes.
So that's all of the European Union, obviously. Everybody's on the euro. But because things are less expensive, our dollar still goes further. So, for instance, like we were in the grocery store in Kroger and buying Oro wheat sandwich thins.
Yeah.
They were $5, y'all. I was like, what's going on? They sell Oro wheat brand sandwich thins in Portugal for €2, like 69 cents, something like this. Why are there $5 here? Why are they aren't the headquarters here?
Yeah.
Not necessarily in Colorado, but definitely in the United States.
Definitely in the United States.
Right. So underestimating all of that stuff, insufficient research and things like that, that is one of the first mistakes that people make. I know I see Krishan in the chat. I know she spent 2 to 3 years doing research. This woman is prepared. That's Krishan of Blackset Global, and we are doing a Move to Portugal Summit with her. That information can also be found below. If you want to get on the wait list, if you want to be the first to know of when the passes are available, get that information in the description below. But let's see who else is in the audience today before we go further. Not soon enough.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome. Hello. I'm glad that you were able to catch your first live. Hey, Action
VJ. How you doing, buddy?
Yes, we are 30,000 strong, y'all. We have gotten over 30,000 subscribers. I'm humbled. I just can't believe that there's 30,000 folks who care what the heck we have to say. But we love you guys, and we are so, 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 so grateful. We are just having fun and making incredible friends, aren't we?
Yes, definitely.
And Action DJ is one of them. Hey, Auntie Trey, good to see you. Meriton, LXNX, Sexy LX. All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hey, Valerina.
How you doing?
Hey, Regina. Sir Panther Man. Instead of Panther, I think it's just Panther.
Panther Man.
All right, from Texas. Good to see you in the chat. I know you caught a couple of lives, and usually I see you in the comments. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. Sharon, when you have unusual names like Panther Man, you remember that stuff. Hey, Southern Rose Tea, Alexandria MD.
How you doing?
Yes, greetings and salutations to you. Hey, my peace from New York. Butterfly,
how you doing?
Are you still moving to Spain, Butterfly?
Talk to us.
We expected to see you out in these international streets, Butterfly. Where you at? How can we help? Hey, Professor.
Hey, Professor.
Good to see you. Hello from San Francisco. Can't wait to move to Portugal. All right. Well, we will answer a couple of questions about that. Hola, pessoas. Boa tarde. Boa tarde. Actually, yeah, I guess it is here too. Yeah. Igami, good to see you. Artworks Insight. Lenora, glass half full.
Not leaving sooner.
When you gonna be in Spain, girlfriend? When you gonna be in Spain? Hey, Peggy. Hey, Kimmy. Luxury Vagabond. Beyond Jan. Huh, that sounds like a new name. Yeah. This is Jen. We met at your event. Thank you all for sharing. You're very welcome. So I'm not going to, you don't have to say what your real name is. Though I do remember a gem. Hey, Shauna, good to see you.
Hey, hey.
Nana, what Nana? What Nana? We know lots of Nanas. Laura, Greta, good to see you.
Greta, how you
Raquel,
doing?
but look at God. That's right. That's right. Just finished giving
Hey,
my
Krishan.
furniture away a half hour ago. My only remaining piece
The
is the
bean
beanbag.
bag.
We're going to talk about that. Hey, summertime. Good to see you. All right, everybody. We are going to get back to it. We love you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. There's over 100 folks watching right now. I'm so glad you made the live as well, Nelson. Glad that you are in the audience, and Pinky and all of you. Hey, friends, we love you.
We truly do.
We do. We do. We do. We do. All right. So, number one, insufficient research. And for us, it was truly understanding all of the tax implications,
True.
right?
We're not in trouble or anything. Don't think that we're in trouble or anything like that. We're not. Everything is fine.
Everything is figure outable,
Yeah.
right? And so we'll talk about, we'll talk about the budgeting, but if you have planned well and made sure that you have a healthy, healthy, healthy emergency fund, mistakes can be overcome. They become inconveniences and not major things. Like we've heard some people out here in these streets talking about, are there food banks and stuff like that? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
no, 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 that's not what we're talking about. All right, underestimating the cost. Number two is underestimating the costs.
Yeah.
You want to read
Yeah.
what we wrote?
So moving abroad can be expensive, and it's easy to underestimate the actual cost involved.
Yes, from visa fees to traveling expenses to housing, healthcare costs, et cetera, et cetera. You know, doing the budget is really essential. And so we have put together, for those of you who do not know, a Move Abroad Toolkit. And it walks you through getting your budget together, both your move budget as well as your new living budget that you will use when you are in your new home country. And so, underestimating the cost, there were some costs that we underestimated. The first one is the cost of our scouting trip. Excuse me. And we suggest everybody do a scouting trip.
Definitely. Definitely.
And don't think like an American.
No.
Like, I'm gonna spend a week here and then I'm gonna know.
Yeah.
If at all possible, a minimum of 2 weeks, but if at all possible, a month. You need a month. We spent a month in the Lisbon metro area for our scouting trip. And for the most part, we were in Coimbra for a little bit, but in the Lisbon metro area for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And we did not even scratch the surface. We had not even heard of the neighborhood that we now live in.
No, we didn't. Actually, when we were on our scouting trip, we got lost in that neighborhood.
We got lost in our neighborhood, did not know the name of it.
We shot a video saying we lost y'all. It was a little short, but that's part of our neighborhood. It ended up being part of our neighborhood.
Yeah, literally, we were less than a 10-minute walk from our house from where we live now.
From where we live, yeah.
When we were lost. So yeah, that scouting trip, I should have booked earlier. And so the general wisdom is 3 months in advance, but that's for local flights.
Right.
For international flights, I'm going to say 6 months or more, especially if you're planning to use points. And so even coming back, I still didn't learn my lesson though. I still didn't learn my lesson because even coming back, I didn't book early enough. So when we came back this time, I didn't book early enough to use points. I could have used points if I felt like flying for 24 hours.
Right. That's
so
hard.
All the good flights were gone that had points, point seats available. They only allow so many per flight. And so I did it again, but I will not do it next time. That we're flying outside of the EU at least.
Right.
We're going to book as far in advance. Anytime I want to use points, we're going to book as far in advance as possible. So I made the budget in February. We were in Portugal in June, and but I didn't start booking the Airbnbs until like March, April. We made a decision because Our Rich Journey was doing their meetups in June. We signed up for Our Rich Journey in 2021. So we knew we were going to be in Portugal in June. We knew we were going to be in Portugal in June before Christmas time. Why didn't I book right then and there? But I didn't. I didn't book. And so we didn't book till March and April. So the Airbnbs were more expensive.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why we ended up staying on the other side of the river, because I didn't want to pay the prices that they were asking for June rental. You know, this is height of season of, tourist season on the Lisbon side. So the good part about that.
Yeah, I was going to say too, the good thing about going to Casillas was a lot more affordable living than Lisbon as far as rents and stuff like that. And a lot of people are looking at Casillas now
Yeah, yeah,
to moving over there.
yeah. And maybe we're one of the reasons. But we did not do that because we were trying to, do a smart scouting trip and make sure we stayed where the locals stayed and things like that. I wish I could say that, but that is not the case. We stayed in Casillas on the other side of the river because it was less expensive. And it was just a 10-minute ferry ride to Lisbon proper. So yeah. The other thing that I forgot about
What you
was
forget about?
the stuff that I forgot that there was a cost to exchange our visas for our
For our
cards.
cards, yeah.
There was a cost in Mexico, but it was
It was low. It wasn't as high as Portugal was.
no, it was low because I want to say it was like 400, for everything, which included the immigration help and all of that stuff. So
Okay.
what we had to pay Sonia Diaz's company.
Okay.
So it included all of that. And then they paid the immigration people. So whatever that was, I want to say it was like 35, under $100 per person. But for Seth in the immigration department in Portugal to exchange, it was 340 euro
Yeah.
all in. So
170
170 a piece. That ain't no chump change. Like that's a real bill. And again, because we had a healthy emergency fund, when we were told this, I was like, "Ow!" But it wasn't like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do?" Guess we can't, have food at the end of the month, because of it. It was never that. It was just like, it just kind of made me grumpy, right? Okay, so maybe we don't go to an expensive couple of meals, we don't order Uber Eats a couple of times so that we're not going over budget. But otherwise, it just is what it is. But yeah, 340. That's a real bill. And then the other thing that I did not take into account, we came back on a tourist visa, right? And so customs, when you ship your stuff, so this is something to know, probably for every single country. Once you get approved, your visa approved, they should provide something if the country does this. And most of the countries we checked out do this, in that you get a freebie. You get to bring in your used crap one time with no customs charges. And because we came and got our stuff shipped, we were still on a tourist visa. We did not have a piece of paper saying,
No.
that we were, legal residents now, and that, we get a freebie. They did ask us, well, are you moving here? Because, I had all these toiletries and stuff that we had shipped. And I told them, yes, we were. So they looked at the stuff as used stuff, thank God. But they did. We, wrapped everything in
everything was
cellophane.
wrapped in cellophane, and
It was unwrapped and cut open by the time we got
they
to it.
they need to go through it.
They went through everything. But at the end of the day, they charged us 40 euro. Again, these are just things, if you are on a really tight budget, you need to over budget for your moving expenses so that your normal living expenses don't suffer because you have not put enough away in your safety net.
Right.
So underestimating the costs is one of the major reasons. And I'm going to throw, because they put cost of living into insufficient research, but I'm going to say that um, the cost of living should be in underestimating the costs. If you go by what is on the Earthawait / Numbeo, because that's where the cost of living data comes from, you probably will be pretty safe, but understand there are some things on there that are not listed. The cost of healthcare is one of them,
Right.
right?
We get asked that question all the time.
So yeah, yeah. And I think, yeah, we do have a separate one about healthcare, don't we? Yes, we do. So I'm not going to talk about that right now. But okay, so number one, insufficient research in general. Tax implications for us was our biggest mistake. Our second biggest mistake, underestimate
Underestimating costs.
all the costs. Because I did not underestimate every single cost, but I underestimated some of the costs. Yeah. So Butterfly says avoid the move during tourist season. If you can avoid that, definitely do. Definitely do. Because we got lucky when we started looking for an apartment as the tourist season was winding down. And after all of the college students, for the most part, had already gotten their apartments. So that's another thing that you're competing with in the summertime, right? They go back to school in August. And so they're looking for apartments in July. We started looking for apartments the last week in July. And we got the rental agreement like August 1st. Our appointment with VFS was August 5th. Y'all know this.
Right.
We're going to talk about that too as one of the mistakes that we made. But so we got really, really fortunate with our lease. As you guys know, we used Rossini to help us with that. So if you have a comment or question you want us to put on screen, put a Q in front of it. I'm just seeing what you guys are talking about. So that's what we do, Abdul. That's what we do. We're trying.
Yeah.
We're trying here. Okay, number 3.
Ignoring language barriers. So everybody don't speak English. A lot do, but you can't go there thinking that I was going to say come here, but we're in the United States. You can't go there thinking that everybody's just going to speak English because you speak English. It's not like that. So, I mean, if you're planning on moving abroad or something like that, wherever you're going to move to, there's apps out there. There's all kind of different platforms that you could go to start learning that language. Do it now.
I would not, and I'm going to say this. We're probably not talking to anyone who's watching right now, but I know that there's folks who are in the comments, and they are afraid to move to a country that does not speak English as their primary language. Don't stay stuck because of fear.
Right.
Do not stay stuck because of fear, right? So life is for living, and part of living is learning, right? And so even if you just learn enough to get by in the stores and to introduce yourself, it's doable. It's
Mhm.
doable. I would take away the I want to be fluent and put in your mind more about I want to be able to communicate. I want to be able to go about daily life. I want to be able to at least make some acquaintances of who are born and raised in the new country that we are adopting. So um, some people ignore the language barriers and live for years in places.
Well, yeah, they do. They do.
But we're not colonizers,
No.
and that's not what we do, right? We got our home training, and so we're going to go to a new place and learn the language. I would see. So for me, I this was not one of the mistakes that we made. Because I was already taking Spanish, I was already cognizant of the fact that Rick was choosing a country that did not speak Spanish. And he wasn't learning doodly squat in his man cave
I learned how to say, "Can you understand the words coming out of my mouth?"
in English only. That's what he learned. Um, but I it's one thing to visit places and get by with the apps. It's another to live. So if you are planning to live somewhere, plan to learn the language and plan to learn
Yeah.
some key phrases before you even leave, before you even go.
Yeah. I mean, and the apps are good for that.
He's saying, yeah, but we didn't do that. Y'all, we landed in Lisbon, did not know how to say hello, did not know how to say thank you. We were just like, we here.
But it didn't take long to learn how to say hello and thank you.
Well, yeah, because we just listened and imitated. But that was a mistake that we made. We did not ignore the language barrier, but we did not prepare properly. And that just doesn't make any sense, to land and not know how to greet people
Yeah.
or say thank you. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. But we did it, and we're going to talk about why at the end. All right. So number one, insufficient research. Number two, underestimating cost. Number three, ignoring the language barriers. Number four,
Overpacking.
woo!
So we did a video on bringing your American life to your new country, or to Lisbon, I believe it was. But yeah, bringing too many belongings can be a burden. It really can. I mean, a lot of places in Lisbon area, and unless you're buying a house, just don't have a room for a lot of stuff.
You don't have the room for all of that big furniture. You don't necessarily have the room, like there, the notion that you're going to get an apartment with 2 to 3 walk-in closets like Americans are used to. That's just not a
Ain't gonna
reality.
happen.
It's just not a reality. It reminds me of the old movies from the 40s and 50s where single people lived in rooming houses and all of their belongings were in that room. I would suggest that you come with as few things as possible, because if for some reason you don't like your neighborhood, you like the city, but you don't like your neighborhood,
Mm.
you want to move a bunch of crap, or do you want to pack up some suitcases and just move, right? In Portugal, you only have to fulfill a third of the contract. So, when we signed the 1-year lease, we really only had to do 4 months.
Mhm.
And then we could have moved. We could have moved. But if you've got a bunch of stuff and you've shipped a bunch of stuff, so we did not overpack. But because we had family move into our house, so these are the mistakes we made. Because we had family moving into our house, I don't think we were as diligent as we should have been in decluttering and things like that.
Yeah, we would have paid more attention and taken the time to evaluate keepsakes.
Yeah, we didn't. So I'm still scanning things that I want to preserve, for what I don't know, but I just want them. Old cards that you gave me.
I'll get you new cards.
Yeah, but there were sentiments in
I
there
know, I
and
know,
dates and stuff.
I know.
So, so I'm scanning them and putting them, Valentine's Day cards, birthday cards where you profess your love for me.
I
I
still
want to
profess it to you.
I want to keep them. I want to keep them. So I'm scanning all of that stuff. But so the big things we got rid of for the most part, right? But there are so many like boxes and containers full of things, and all the junk drawers and all of that stuff in your house. Like, we've got a box of just flash drives.
Yeah.
and portable hard drives. So someone has to go through, make sure that we've got everything important
Yeah.
off of those before you recycle them. Because God forbid, like,
Somebody finds banking information or
ba-
social security information
or
or
there's
something like
something on
that.
there that we needed.
Right.
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 And so so it takes time to do all of that stuff. And we've got literally have boxes of flash drives and
Hard
portable
drives.
drives,
Oh
portable
yeah.
hard drives and stuff like that still need to be gone through. Um, cords and this and that and just stuff. We have stuff everywhere. And so finally we're getting a dumpster and we're just throwing a lot of this stuff away. Like, people don't want this stuff. They don't want arbitrary, like, cords that plug into electronics, but they're probably pretty universal. Like, does Goodwill even sell stuff like
I
that?
mean, there's some stuff, even though folks say, well, yeah, I want to hold on to that. I want to keep that. And then turn around not even using it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what's the purpose? This thing has been sitting in the same spot
Yep.
for a year.
Yep.
Ain't been touched.
Yep.
And got dust all on
Yep.
it. So it's gone. It's
Yep.
got to go.
Yep.
It's got to go.
Exactly. All right. So what are you guys talking about? Let's see. The movers were the big overrun. And see, that's the thing, because a lot of times with movers, so Krishan's got two moves going on. She's moving her residency in the United States because, as long as you're a US citizen, you have to file taxes in the
Mhm.
United States. You will have to pay state taxes if you have residence in a state that has income tax, right? So those are the things that you should also be thinking about when you're talking about making this move. But so there's the movers, like if you're doing something like that, like, claiming residency in another state before you make the big move. There's that move, and then there's the move over to, not here because we're in Colorado, but in Lisbon,
In Lisbon,
or
yeah.
in your new country.
Wherever, yeah.
We shipped our things. So we shipped luggage. We didn't ship boxes, we shipped luggage. So and that's what we had planned to do. We had planned to just move with luggage. So the cost of the luggage was put in the budget. As well as once we decided, I saw, Krishan, I saw on one of your podcasts, someone said that they had shipped their bags through Send My Bags. And I was like, oh, that's a thing? You can ship luggage? Well, of course you can ship luggage. If you can ship boxes, you can ship luggage. But that didn't connect. So after listening to the podcast, I went to do some research and got those prices and realized that it was cheaper to ship something than it is to pay the $200 to $250 to fly,
airline, yeah.
Especially if your flight has more than one leg. You have to pay the $250 every single time. International flights get two checked bags. So usually, but not all airlines.
Yeah.
American Airlines do that, but not all airlines. So yeah, that overpacking and bringing too much stuff. It's nice.
Do you really need it?
Right? Do you really need a shelf full of collectibles?
I mean, there's one thing I wish I could bring, even though we just purchased a jet ink printer. I wish I could bring that laser jet printer.
Well, yeah.
It's awesome. But is it practical to do that?
No.
I could probably buy a laser jet there
cheaper than it would cost to ship it.
Yeah,
and we can't buy it cheaper than that cost because that was Costco, and I have not seen prices like that. We paid for our inkjet what we paid for our laser here. So everything's not less expensive. The other thing that's not less expensive, oddly enough, is mosquito spray and sunblock. I don't know why, but I ordered some and I'm bringing that back. We're not going to overpack in that way. So overpacking, bringing too many belongings can be a burden. And not just the shipping costs and the regulations, but also keeping you nimble. That's the biggest thing to me, keeping you nimble if you need to move,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You don't need the frustration, added frustration of trying to move from place to place in a foreign land in your new foreign home.
Yeah.
You don't need that frustration.
So you can't wait to return to Portugal, getting your physical activity up, so you can do those. So you can do those hills. Is travel to other parts of Europe easy, affordable from Portugal? Have heard it's difficult and expensive to travel.
I
No,
haven't.
Heriberto Figueroa. Where are you from, babe? Um, so no, it's easy. It's once you are in Europe, because the continent is so small, it's easy to get from one point to another. Sometimes it's not as easy getting to the smaller towns because, unlike in the States, most of the small
Mm,
towns don't have airports. But between air, train,
train. Yeah.
buses, you're good to go. So um, we're flying to Barcelona, and it's costing us, well, I've waited to schedule it, so trying to figure things out, trying to see if I can book something ahead of it. So now I'm late, but at the time that I looked, we could go for about $65 round trip. 65 euro round trip is probably 100 now. So yep, add some padding. Definitely. Definitely. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? Yep, they do. Yep, they do. Right? We don't want to be gentrifiers. We don't want to come into neighborhoods and expecting them to change to fit our needs like gentrifiers do, right? They move into our neighborhood and then start calling the cops on us for doing what we do, which is play in the street, right? So we don't want to move to another country and act like that. And our, like, the little uh, fruitarias and stuff, they don't speak English.
No.
They do not speak English. We have a lot of brown folks from Southeast Asia in our neighborhood. They don't speak Portuguese. And I'm just finding that out because I go in expecting them to speak Portuguese. I speak Portuguese to
Hmm.
them,
Yeah.
and then realize they speak English. They don't speak Portuguese any better than I speak Portuguese. So it's just one bad Portuguese speaker to another bad Portuguese
Yeah.
speaker,
So
right?
English is the preferred
Yeah,
bad.
with
Yeah.
the Southeast Asians,
Yeah.
who are relatively new to Portugal. So, but I didn't know, and so I'm just going to assume if you live here, you speak Portuguese. That's what I'm going to speak to you. I'm not going to try to
Yeah.
make you speak our language. Good, Lenora. Yes, yes, yes. I started studying Spanish on my own, getting myself in the mindset for living abroad. That's right.
Yeah.
Have you set a date, Lenora? I had to try to speak Spanish the other day here in Texas because the landscapers said they didn't speak English. And if you want that good price, you're going to learn to speak what they speak.
Hmm.
Right? Right? Okay, Anita. I noticed in different international move processes, there isn't a lot of talk if someone who dies in the new country because it's depressing. Is there a plan to be buried there, cremated, or direct ship back body your ship your body back home? These are things that you need to plan for in advance.
Yeah.
And if and you need to make sure if shipping a body back to your home country is important to you, you need to make arrangements for that in advance. Um, I'm going to be cremated. I like don't waste money and land burying me. That's not part of my value system. I couldn't care less. I'm dead. Cremate me and sprinkle me
Yeah.
over the Alps or something.
But the information is out there and it's not too difficult to get.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can find out. You can find out from different groups. I actually I know Americans in Portugal, American friends.
The Facebook group.
Yeah, the Facebook group. I think they might have something to where there's a PDF on it or something like that. But there's information out there for it. Yeah, people don't talk about it a lot.
Yeah. Don't talk about it a lot because the people who would talk about it are probably already dead. Did I say that? Yeah, I did. But it's something to think about. It's definitely something to think about, and insurances do offer that. So it's usually extra, a rider or something like that. Instead of paying for insurance that you may never use, because the assumption is you're going to remain in that other country for life, and you don't necessarily know that. A better thing than paying for insurance is figuring out how much it costs to do what you need to do and save the money in an interest bearing account. And then you have it. Be your own insurance company. Because if you never need it, then you've got that money. If you decide, shipping my body back does not make sense to me in this part of my life, like I don't believe in that anymore, but you've saved for that, then getting cremated is going to be cheaper. You're still good to go. So I'm not for insurance necessarily. Even insurance for things that you know for sure are going to happen. If you know for sure they're going to happen, and if you can estimate the cost, like if a person is to get cancer or something, some weird cancer in the future, it's hard to estimate those costs.
Right.
So being your own insurance company for that is a little bit difficult, but it's pretty easy to estimate death taxes, right? Like how much it costs to die, and then you can just increase for inflation over time. As a whole, Americans have self-sabotaged not by not being bilingual. Well, I don't think it's Americans, Butterfly. I agree with you 100%. I believe that it is the power structure that has decided that it is not necessary in our schools, because if we learn another language from the gate, like they do in other countries, in our schools from elementary school, and then we can actually understand what other folks are saying, then we could see that what they're telling us about our country is not true.
Yeah.
And you cannot control people who are as intelligent and as worldly as you are, right? And so if they keep us dumb, then they remain in power. To a certain extent. To a certain extent. Although I've seen some houses in house sitting that is like you cannot fit more shit. And even when we were apartment shopping, remember that Liberace?
Oh my God.
That Liberace house?
They had gaudy gold and it was crazy furniture, and it was an apartment.
It was an apartment. They had shit everywhere in every nook and cranny, and it was all gold gilded crap.
But the house sit we did, the one house sit in Portugal, he was English. He was from the UK. I forget where she was from. With Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had a lot of stuff in their house.
Yeah. But they didn't have a lot of knickknacks.
No.
They had a lot of, they had the American style of food storage. But seeing as where they lived, it made sense because they were not close.
They were out. They weren't in the city or anything.
Right. I want to bring a carry-on and a suitcase, period. I don't even want to bring the suitcase, but I do want to bring some of the kids' stuff and some photos and things. Like if I could get away with just a carry-on and my backpack, I would have.
Yeah.
But it's just, the way I saw my life, I could have. But the way my life has actually turned out, we do actually go out to places. And I do actually want to look nicer than some yoga pants and a t-shirt or some jeans and a t-shirt. I do like dressing up from time to time when I want to. And so having a couple of extra things It does make a difference. How long should you prepare for learning a new language before moving to Portugal? It depends. So I'm going to let you answer it after I answer it because your experience is different than my experience. But I would say if you want to just learn the basics, maybe 2 months of private lessons if you have if you remember how to learn a language, if you remember the basic rules of learning a language from school. What would you say?
How long before you move there? I don't think you need to put a time limit on how long before you move there.
Yeah, before we move, because we're suggesting.
Because I didn't spend any time.
I know we didn't. That was a mistake we made.
I know, but
as someone who's not used to learning languages, who wants to do this, how much time would you tell them?
I'd probably say just to get basic stuff, it's going to be 3-4 months. Yeah, just to get it down basically. You're not going to be, I mean, I'm not going to say you're not going to be because
No, you're not.
different people do different things and some people hear it but when my wife was telling me, oh, you have the conjugation and this and that, I ain't been in school in umpteen years.
He keeps saying that, but at what point do you just say, I now understand what that means?
Yeah, I granted. Yeah, you do get to that point, but it's like, okay, you just keep going at it. Keep going at it. I hate to really put a time limit on anything that we're learning.
If you know a decent amount of Spanish, like you can hold a basic conversation about who you are, where you're from. If you're in a store, what would you like? Where can I find it? What size? If you can hold a very, very basic Spanish conversation, then I would say, 1 month if you're practicing in between lessons, because it is so similar to Spanish that it's just about getting the pronunciation down for basic conversation, for very, very basic conversation. It's just about the pronunciation. But if you have not learned a language and you don't know that when you are speaking with a subject and a verb, that changes for all Romance languages, whereas it doesn't necessarily for English, then it's not going to make sense to you and you need more time.
Mm-mm.
Duolingo is not enough.
Oh, no. And for Portuguese, Duolingo doesn't teach European Portuguese.
Or Babbel.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Babbel does or not, but it's just not enough. And I suggest you get private lessons. You can get them very affordably from a Black native Portuguese speaker in the description below. There's a thing that says language lessons. I have a native Black Spanish tutor and a native Black Portuguese tutor. And I was very purposeful in making sure that my money went to Black folks to teach me. Because we're everywhere and we speak all languages. And so we might as well use folks who look like us. So, yeah. All right. What is the process of getting out of lease contracts? Is it easy to do? So this is a little bit off topic, but you just have to put something in writing, and all of that should be in your lease. So for us, we have to give 60-day notice in writing that we are planning to leave, and then those 2 months extra rent that we gave will be applied to those last 2 months, and then that's the end of it. We're out of it. So what it takes to get out of the lease should be in the lease itself.
But don't make the mistake that I guess a mother and daughter did in Mexico, breaking the lease and got held hostage.
So we were listening to our friend Cortez Ross over there at Move Broad and Thrive. You do it so much better than I do. And he was telling the story of someone who was being held hostage in a gated community because they were trying to get out of their lease, and they were not going to be let out of their lease until they paid the extra money.
For wanting to get out their lease. from my understanding, early.
This is something that you need to budget in. Budget in help understanding the lease that you are signing. Do not assume that because you did real estate in the United States and you've created and you're a landlord in the United States that you understand and know all of Portuguese laws or whatever laws for whatever country you're going to move to. So we did budget in extra money into the move, so that our immigration people, they have attorneys on staff that could look at our lease. The only thing that is valid is the Portuguese, even though every paragraph had the translation underneath. The translation meant nothing. So it could say whatever it wanted to say in English, and if we did not double check it, which y'all know I did, you know I copied and pasted that stuff into Google Translate. But Google Translate sometimes does Brazilian, sometimes does European, so it wasn't translating perfectly. So we had an attorney look over the contracts that we were going to sign, and they actually made suggestions and things that we had missed.
Yeah.
And when the English was not really capturing what was being said in Portuguese, she made note of that with some changes. So, yeah.
Yeah. Just be careful of that. Look into that.
Yeah.
Do due diligence on that, because, and like, I don't think Portugal would hold anybody hostage for wanting. I don't see our landlord trying to hold us hostage or anything. But Mexico laws are different. Anywhere you go, laws are different.
Well, if you're trying to break a lease, then you just leave. You don't. They must have alerted them and said we want to do this.
I don't know.
So now they're holding them hostage. But you know how folks roll in America. They just leave in the middle of the night. I'm not suggesting that anybody does anything like that.
No.
What we're telling you to do is to make sure that you hire folks who speak the language, who are being paid to have your best interest at heart. Make sure that you sign a lease that makes sense. So Jeanette says you make it sound like staying in a college dorm room. No, but we're going from a 27 to 2,900 square foot house with 2-car garage and a shed that we've lived in for 30 years or 20 years, going from that down to a 2-bedroom plus they call it a 3-bedroom, but a 2-bedroom plus an office,
3-bedroom.
2-bedroom plus an office apartment with no storage besides the closets that are in the house. So having collections of this and collections of that,
Yeah.
and every book that you've ever purchased and every CD and every DVD, even though you don't have anything to play them on anymore, etc., is just not feasible.
But you can do it if you want.
You'll be kick a path.
Yeah.
To keep every single pair of shoes that I owned, just in case I might want to wear that outfit, even though I can only wear this pair of shoes with 2 outfits, doesn't make sense when you have a closet the size of the closets in your guest bedroom. And those are your biggest closets. So, artwork, there's plenty of wall space for artwork. There's plenty of wall space for a bookcase. But do I want to pay to ship all of those books? No. And nor do I want to lug them around from place to place with me. So, and I don't want to go to a new place and get ensconced. Like, okay, this is my forever place. Like, this was kind of our forever home. We were planning to expand the back of it and do all of this stuff. So it was to be our forever home.
Yeah.
Right. So glad we didn't do any of that.
Oh, it was funny. I was talking to my daughter the other day as we were doing some work around the yard. And I said, yeah. She said, oh, we should have did such and such and such and such. And I was like, yeah, I was going to do that when I retired. But then we moved out of the country.
Much better plan.
So a lot of things because this was our forever home, we thought.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Much better plan.
yeah.
All right, so let's get back to our list and then we'll get back to your questions. So, number 1, insufficient research. Number 2, underestimating the cost. Number 3, ignoring language barriers. Number 4, overpacking. Number 5,
Failing to establish a support network wherever you go.
right? So, moving to a new country can be isolating, especially without a support network. And especially if you're not moving as a couple. Most of the folks that we know are moving as single people, right? So, building connections with locals, joining expat communities, and seeking other social groups will be very, very important. This is not a mistake that we made.
And you know, it's funny because we were talking about it earlier too, when you asked me the question, what if all the people that we've met within the last year, what if you worked with all those people every day? It would be a whole totally different experience. And it would be from people that you worked with before because you this is our tribe. This is, we're building a community, we're building a tribe, and everybody's like-minded.
Yep.
Everybody that you run across, I'd say 99.9% is like-minded.
Yep. So I was watching Rashida Dow's live earlier, and she was talking about why you should take a break, right? Why you should take a break from your job, and she was talking about her job, history and stories from the office, and it was just bringing back all of these bad memories. And I just remember when my boss said, "Okay, everybody's vaccinated. We should go back into the office," and I was just like, "Oh." And just the thought of it is just like, oh my God, I just don't. And then I was thinking about like other jobs that I've had in the past and the entertainment industry. And I've liked the work that I did, but the people, having to deal with those people, asking those questions, saying those things, treating you and looking at you the way that they do. Ugh. Right? And so I was just thinking, like, how much different would our work experience have been if we got to work with people like y'all? Like, wow, that would have been an amazing work experience because y'all are the bomb.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where you were when we were living here. I maybe worked with a couple of people like y'all from the past, but
And we always ask that question. You'll find yourself asking that question when you get over there or wherever you're going. It's like, where have you been?
yes, where have you been?
We should have been friends. Yeah.
So establishing if you're just tuning in, we are talking about move abroad mistakes. We're talking about the mistakes in general and then the mistakes that we made. So one of the mistakes in general is failing to establish a support network. And we did not make that mistake. So we were members of Black in Portugal Facebook group, Americans and Friends in Portugal Facebook group, People of Color of Portugal Facebook group. And then once we got on the ground, there are WhatsApp groups with the English speaking Black folks who live in Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
And so we joined those groups. And then we've created subgroups from those groups. And yeah. Right. And so when we came out there to do our scouting trip, we made sure that we went to the meetups that the Facebook groups were hosting. And then because we weren't skulking around in secret, right? We always want to keep stuff secret because we don't want people praying against us, trying to nix our plans and all of this. But I was all up on Facebook and everything else talking about our move, that we were moving to Portugal, we're out, deuces. And so a friend of mine saw that, we were in Portugal and another friend of hers had just moved to Portugal as well. So she connected us via Facebook, and that's Twana. Y'all know Twana.
Oh, yeah.
And so our third day there, I met Twana, and she had just gotten her residence card, and she was all bubbly, her bubbly self, and we hung the whole day.
Yeah, we did.
Because first it was just she and I, and then we came and got you.
And got me.
and we walked around and we hung out the whole day. And so that was our first real friend. Like, okay, this woman is someone I'd want to have a beer with. And then when we went to the event, we met Alex and Jerry. Y'all know Alex and Jerry, friends of the channel and friends of ours personally, who were just so helpful. And between the three of them, and then Twana set up a WhatsApp group with Rossini and his partner Anome.
Yeah.
Right. So we had that WhatsApp group that we were talking. We had a WhatsApp group with Alex and Jerry, and it felt like when we had to come back to pack and fill out our paperwork, it felt like we had never left because we were in constant contact with them, giving them updates, with them asking when we're going to be back because they had, some plans and if we were going to be back in time to join them here and there.
And it just grows and grows and grows from then.
Exactly.
From there. I mean, even new people that I just text Kendall today because he's moved to Lisbon. Some of you may know him, you may not know him, but Kendall just moved to Lisbon 36 days ago.
Wow. Yeah.
36 days ago.
He planned it around our meetups.
Yeah.
Y'all, come on now.
I mean, just good people.
Yeah, definitely.
Y'all know, you
Definitely.
guys, a lot of you have already been over here.
Exactly.
Or there. I keep forgetting.
Exactly. And so having that network is so important. And I want to say, so I was showing people, and even Adelia said this, our community there in Portugal is strong. And, we try to have community with English speaking Black folks without necessarily excluding other folks, right? And so that's really important too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just having a network of folks who understand who you are, but also starting to build that network of other folks.
Right.
And so it's really important that when you go there, go to the events. You can go to some events that are not by expat groups, but are by English speaking other groups, people who are interested in this or interested in that. Like Web Summit is held in Portugal every year, right? And so had you gone to Web Summit, you would have met some Portuguese people who live there, but who also speak English. Another way to strengthen that network, because when you land and you're trying to get your utilities set up, it's Portugal, y'all. I don't know how it is getting that set up in Mexico, but I hear it's a pain. I don't know how it is in France or South Korea or Croatia or South Africa, but it's not as easy as it is in America, probably. So just the little things. Where can I get my hair cut? Where can I get my hair did, my hair braided? Where can I get my nails done? Where can I get my beard cut? Whatever it is, right? You want to have, so how do you work this dishwasher?
Yeah.
It's not in English and it's in Celsius, right? So all of those things, having that support network really, really, really helps.
It is very important. So very important. Yeah, and you want to go to the next one?
Oh, hold on. Since customs ripped up the
cellophane.
The cellophane. Oh, do you have recommendations on how to pack things for shipping? I'd say still cellophane them.
Yeah.
So we might ship one more bag, and I got to make that decision fast and go on and see what they're talking about. But anyway, I don't know. So we wrapped ours in cellophane for a few reasons. One, because we had kind of like rolling duffel bags. They're called deployment bags, supposedly the same size and things that you would use if you were in the service. So hence the name, deployment bags. And so they're rolling duffel bags with floppy handles. And so because Ship My Bags use conveyor belts and stuff like that, just like the airports do, you want to make sure those are wrapped up so that they're not getting caught on things. They taped back up the cellophane, which was hilarious. They taped it back up. But anybody who's not supposed to be getting into it, who might want to steal stuff along the way, this is a deterrent. So I would say still wrap them.
Yeah. I mean, but they're custom, so they can leave it alone or they can tear it open no matter what.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you were talking about, but probably because my brain thinks kind of weird sometimes. What's the best way to ship things to Mexico? Ship My Bags ships just about everywhere, and that information is in the description below. So if you're talking about shipping luggage or some things like that, that information is in the
It
description
might be a
below.
little simpler too, shipping to Mexico since you're on the same
Continent.
continent.
Yeah, it might be. Sell everything. We bought too much stuff, right? Right?
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I've learned is what is expensive is so expensive there that I'm willing to buy it here in a little bit of a bulk and move it there, like mosquito spray. The big bottles of mosquito spray are $9 here, which is too much money for some DEET and some Centronella. But the same DEET and Centronella in Portugal, I paid 20 something dollars for a little bitty bottle like this. I feel like I did a couple sprays and it was almost gone. Like, what are we doing here? So I just can't do it. So I'm willing to ship that.
And the mosquitoes and mosquitoes in Portugal have never bit me. They bit you. And
Because,
last night I got eaten up.
because I'm so sweet.
Yeah, okay, you are sweet, baby. You're mosquito meat.
It's mosquito meat. Okay. What else are you
Mosquito
guys
meat.
talking about?
Mosquito meat.
We're going to talk about the medical. We're going to talk about the medical. Declutter even if you aren't moving for your own sanity. Seriously. Seriously. Um, I thought we had done a better job than we had, but there was so much stuff. There's so much stuff that we just don't throw away. Think about all the electronics that you can't just put in the trash can, right? And so they pile up because one of these days you're going to take them to the recycler. One of these days, take them now. Did you get rid of your artwork or brought it? So it's over there right
We're
now,
going through that.
and I'm trying to figure out the best way to get it to Portugal.
And I don't want to forget that one in the hallway that I spent good money for. My jazz one.
That he spent good money for.
Yeah, I did. I won it in an auction. I mean, I paid for it in an auction. That was a special day.
I started last September, way less stressful than had I waited to the last minute. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. Got my husband watching too right now.
All
Yes. Right. We got some men in the house.
Right.
I know 70% of our audience are women.
Got to build that men count up, men.
Yeah, he and Alex even started a men's only WhatsApp group because there was a women's only WhatsApp group and they were jealous.
We weren't jealous.
They were jealous. They were jealous because we plan stuff and do stuff and they don't. Hey, made it. I've got my first 3-week trip to Portugal down. It was a good introduction to the differences, right? Good and bad, right? I think I need 2 more trips to decide if I want to move there. Really? Really? Why? What are your hesitancies? What is keeping you from a yes? I really, really, really want to know. I really, really, really want to know. No, and they're getting skin cancer. And then the other thing is they put tint to make themselves darker into the sunblock. So, but the tint is too light for my skin. Right? Ever again. Ever again. Not any place else in the world, but it's it's a lot less expensive than people think. It really, really is. And I think that's one of the reasons why we do what we do and we say what we say is because people think that this living abroad thing is a dream that is not attainable, and we're here to tell you it is attainable. If we can do it, nearly anyone can. How long are you allowed to be in the States now that you have residency? We could be here for 6 months, but believe me when I tell you, we will not.
Could we afford to be here for 6 months? Is the question.
Yeah, we've replaced a microwave, the motherboard on our brand new dryer that's 1 month past warranty. We've replaced two toilets,
And valves.
and valves, some sink plumbing. What else?
We had to rent a dumpster.
We rented a dumpster. We got toilets delivered. They delivered a broken toilet. He went back, took it back, got a new toilet. It was broken. Took it back, got another toilet,
That one was fine.
and that one was fine because
I
you
took-
checked it.
Yeah, because I
So we
took
got
everything out of the box.
two toilets delivered here. One we picked up, one we didn't. And hey, Coach Donna, and they were broken. I mean, it's just been like, I don't know.
What, if anything, do you miss from this?
Readily available Mexican food. Mexican food anytime I want it. Any kind of spice you can dream of. You can find most of the spices in Portugal that we have here, most. But all of the special mixtures of spices that we have, like, steak seasoning, that's not a thing there for the most part. They have a few variations. For the most part, that's not a thing. So you have to get all the ingredients to make those things. And they do have all the ingredients, but heck, I never paid attention to what was in them.
In the States, you have a big selection of beers.
Yeah, bigger selection of beers. Most of the beers in Portugal are Portuguese, and then what? German and English.
Then you have German, you have Heineken, you have they're the foreign labeled beers, pretty much. I mean, Anheuser. When I worked for Anheuser-Busch, some of the beers that they have were purchased through Anheuser-Busch, but it's going to be Superbach or Sagres.
We will talk about that, Lenora. We will talk about that. We want residency in early phase. Not soon enough. We want residency in early phases, getting rid of stuff, have our FBI checks. I have to renew my Mexico temporary end of October, trying to time it right. Do you think we can get it done by first week in November? Baby. So if you have your FBI background checks already, you have to turn them into VFS or the consulate of July, of August, of September, by October.
Yeah. You have your FBI check, it's good for 90 days.
Oh, 90 days. So by September.
Yeah.
So I don't know when you got it, but that there's an expiration on that. So make sure that you have all of that done. Or that you don't have to get it redone before your appointment.
Yeah, before you leave or go somewhere in the United States.
Yeah.
Outside of the United States.
Outside, yeah, because we got ours done from Mexico. We had to send all of our stuff to Philadelphia or to Pennsylvania, FBI, homemade fingerprints and all of that stuff.
It was crazy.
So, yeah. So let's get back to our list. Okay, so failing to establish support network was the last one. The next one is
not understanding the healthcare system.
Not understanding the healthcare system is especially important for us. So this is a mistake that we did not make, but did make. We did not know that you needed to show, and no one told us this was not anywhere. So we're telling y'all, for Portugal, for private insurance, you need to have 5 years, provable 5 years of history of being covered in your home country before your new insurance company will cover pre-existing conditions. We did not know that.
They want to see continuous cover.
We did not know that. And so we had to scrounge around and find that from Portugal. We had to find that. So start putting that stuff together now. If you're planning to move in the next year, Go back to your oldest years and pull those, especially if you've changed jobs and stuff like that. So we did not understand that. The other thing that we didn't understand is we didn't totally understand how the private system worked with the public system. What would be public? What would be private? I think we assumed too much that it was like it is here, that they operate totally separate.
Right. Right.
Even though we knew for big, huge things that they would work together, because we saw, the video that Christina and Aman did when their baby went into the hospital. So we knew that. But other than that, we did not understand how the private system worked with the public system. So if you are interested in Portugal, a few things. One is we are having the Move to Portugal virtual summit. You want to get in onto the waiting list. We will only have a certain amount of all access passes, and when they're gone, they're gone. And if you're on the list, you're going to be the first to know about the all access passes. What will that get you? One of the things that it's going to get you is private Q&A. We're trying to set up private Q&A with Serenity. If you are in our Facebook group, then you were there when we had the first video that we did with Serenity Cares. They are a medical concierge service that works with English speakers who are new to Portugal, moving to Portugal, live in Portugal, and need help navigating the healthcare system. We should have spoken to Serenity Cares before we left, before we made a decision, at least. Don't you think?
Yeah, but
would it have changed it?
Yeah, I think so.
Would it have changed our minds? Would we have not moved?
No.
Would have changed.
But we did talk to Serenity when we got there on our. We talked to them before we moved to when we were in Casillas. Didn't we interview them then? I could have swore. Maybe I'm getting times mixed up.
We met with them when we first moved back.
Okay. I thought we had talked to them before when we first got there.
Nope.
Wow.
I know, right?
I knew I had read about them.
Yes, we knew about them. We knew the service existed. We knew we were going to sign up. We should have talked to them.
Yeah.
Everything that they're going to tell you is Googleable, but if you ain't got time for all that,
yeah,
you can pay somebody. They will do free consultations. You can ask them questions.
And Dr. Michael said that you can contact them. You don't have to be there. You can contact them from your home country, and they'll talk to you. They'll get you situated.
Someone from Serenity will be talking at our summit, and hopefully we will be able to schedule a private Q&A via Zoom with them or with someone else from the system. So we did not totally understand how the public and private system work together. And it would not have changed our minds, but I think, we just wouldn't have had unrealistic expectations or bad expectations, actually, when it comes to the public system. So understanding the healthcare system is a mistake that a lot of folks make. Just because a country says they have universal healthcare does not mean that they have universal healthcare to the standards in which you are used to. So make sure. So for instance, Mexico has universal healthcare. Before COVID, it was probably a different situation than it is post-COVID, especially with all the goofy Americans going down there without masks and with their attitudes and without being vaccinated, right? So I'm sure they got burdened a lot more than they would have had to had they closed down their country, but they didn't. And so their public hospitals do not provide linens on the beds. Just because a country says they have universal health care does not mean they have true universal health care the way you are expecting it to be administered. So do your Googles and make sure that the universal health care is what we as spoiled brat Americans, even though our healthcare system is jacked up, you want to make sure that your expectations will be met. If you have an emergency and you go to a public system in Portugal, you may be sitting there. Like those stories are true. We have friends who have ended up at the wrong hospital, and they've been sitting there for hours and hours and hours. So, but if you go to the private ones, and that, like the person that had an issue over in Marrakesh, and we sent her to one of the hospitals that we go to in Lisbon, it was smooth as butter, right? This is why it's important to have your network before you even go for your scouting trip, if you can, right, through Facebook or through other social media means, because she was able to get in our group and ask questions. We could answer her, and she got her ankle looked at with no problem. So yeah, not soon enough. I don't know if that is enough time. I'm going to tell you that we made the decision over the holidays 2021. We gave notice January 2022. We were out of Dodge by May 2022. And now we're talking about the mistakes that we made in making that decision so quickly and moving so quickly. We all have a housekeeper. Yes. I'm trying to embrace ease. V, embrace the ease. Embrace the
Yeah.
ease. Yeah. You can afford everything, anything, just not everything, right? That's what Paula Pan says. And so there are certain things that we have had to spend less money on. Um, we could not pay for the housekeeper that we had here in the States in Portugal. Here in the States, it cost $140 to get the same amount of space cleaned, because I didn't have them clean the whole house. To get the same amount space cleaned in Portugal cost me about €30 when she has a lot to do. Okay. Okay. I'm not seeing. They understand it. They're pretending like they don't, because because of the Spanish's attitudes, apparently. They understand it. See, it's all doable. You guys, if you're still with the language, you definitely have to watch the episode that we did about learning a language as an adult with
Right,
Laura.
Laura.
She gave some really good tips. Some really good tips. He did a subsequent video indicating that the story was not true about Mexico. The people were also free to leave, but were not allowed to take the things until that rent was paid.
Okay.
That's being held hostage, but not physical hostage, right?
Right.
Like if your stuff.
Okay. Yeah, the last story that I had saw, the video he had done was they wouldn't let him leave and wouldn't let people do anything for him. So
Oh,
that's
really?
good. Yeah.
So, no, we're not minimalists necessarily
Mm-hmm.
in the way I look at minimalists. But I would say being on the fire journey has definitely just changed our
Well,
spending
you
priorities.
lean way more towards minimalism.
Right. Like having things is not more important than experiences. So, if that makes us minimalist, then okay. Um, I like not having a lot of choices for clothing. I get dressed faster. I kept everything in my wardrobe that I absolutely loved, that I was always saving for good, right? All the stuff I was saving for good, that's my wardrobe now. And all the other stuff is gone. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't consider myself a minimalist, but I
No,
like the
I wouldn't say.
tenets. I like the tenets of minimalism. So, all right, let's get back to it. Biggest mistakes made, and what biggest mistakes made, and what we would do differently. So, number one, insufficient research is a mistake folks make. Underestimating the costs, ignoring language barriers. overpacking, failing to establish a support network, not understanding the healthcare system. That's 6, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, number 7.
Overlooking legal requirements.
Yes. So, not soon enough, I think her name is. Make sure that your appointment is in line with that FBI background check, right? So that's one of the legal requirements of getting a visa for Portugal. Another one is you have to have a 1-year lease. Now, even in the New York office, I'm understanding you have to have that 1-year lease. You have to have medical insurance. You have to have a bank account. You have to have a tax ID. That stuff was easy. That's not the stuff that we overlooked,
No, we
right?
didn't. We didn't overlook that. I mean, that's essential. You have to have it. Those are just things. If you don't have those things, you're probably not going to get past the first step going through VFS or
Right.
yeah.
Right. And we hired someone to help us. So of course we knew those things. So however, one of the legal requirements was having an apartment, a lease.
Mhm.
What I did not totally understand was that I understood that they had to pay taxes on rental properties, but not until we started trying to get the contract. So, if you guys remember, for those of you who have been following us all along, thank you. For those of you who are new, when we were on our scouting trip, we stayed in an Airbnb and she wanted us to rent from her long term.
Right.
Cool. So now we don't have to look for a place. It's an Airbnb, which means we're not going to pay for a place that is just sitting there empty. We told her we wanted it for a certain date,
Right.
and so they could rent it out short term on their Airbnb until that
Until
date,
yep.
right? And so maybe we would pay for 15 days or something with no one in it. But other than that, we weren't going to be paying for months, 2
Right.
months, 3 months, 4 months like other people have.
Familiar with the landlord.
We knew the landlords. Yeah. We were cool with that. We were cool with
Great
the neighbors
with the area. Yeah.
and everything else. But what we did not know was a legal requirement is that every single rental property is supposed to be registered with the financial office, like an IRS type of office. And they were not. They did not have their property listed. They did not have any paperwork
Right.
proving that they had listed their rental property with the Portuguese IRS.
Because
Is what I'm going to say.
they have to
Our
pay
understanding.
taxes.
They have to pay taxes off the top for rental income, right? And they look at the lease and they ask for those taxes. Boom. Which is one of the reasons why landlords ask for so much in advance, because now I'm understanding from our landlord that he had to pay a lot of those taxes in advance, even though he didn't have our money. So that was one of the legal requirements. What was so bad about that? Because we didn't know that, and because I didn't know, I told her what we needed it for. She said she had an attorney as a daughter. Her daughter's an attorney. That doesn't mean doodly squat. What kind of attorney? An attorney is an attorney, but are they a real estate attorney? If not, then what does she know about it? Nothing. She had to ask people in her, and still, right? And so we fooled around with her for 3 weeks or more, actually.
Or did it get down to 5 days?
It got down to 5 days, trying to get a contract out of her. And I told her, we will not get our visa approved if we don't have a 1-year lease. And that lease has to be registered with the financia office, and we need proof of that.
Yeah. We would have took a trip to San Francisco for nothing.
Yeah.
For a sightseeing. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
And to turn in some of our stuff and then have to go turn in the rest.
Come back and
but we didn't know. I did not know any of that. Had I known that, we would have gotten that done in advance or learned earlier that she wasn't going to do that because she doesn't want to pay those taxes. And so, she was namaste, we'll get it done.
Like,
no worries.
No.
I know that in Portugal, some things are laid back, but that's not one of them. That's not one of them. So that was the major legal mistake that we made.
Yeah.
But we have heard others, like we know of someone who was starting a business in Portugal, and like in America, because they're American, their first thing was to go register the business. They ain't got no paying customers, they ain't got nothing. They just went, registered a business, talked about what it was, described what it was, and all this and that, and then hired some accountants. What are the accountants doing? You're not making any money. So
Right.
you've hired accountants because somebody told you it takes money to make money, takes money to make money. And so, yeah, in a way that is true, but you're starting a company in a country where you don't speak the language and you don't know the laws or the rules and you haven't hired an attorney. And so what they found out was they were paying hundreds of dollars to the Portuguese IRS. I don't know if it's what they call the IRS or what we would consider the IRS. So that's why I keep doing this for all of our Portuguese. I'm not sure which office it is, but they were paying all this money to the IRS to have a business. I mean, they were paying like hundreds and hundreds of euro per month to the IRS for a business that was not making any money because they didn't know any better and no one told them and they didn't know the right questions to ask. So overlooking legal requirements based on whatever you're going to do, whether it's renting a place, starting a business, moving, the visa requirements, the requirements on how much stuff you can bring in or not, and all of that stuff is going to be very important before you move. Again, our Ready to Retire Toolkit, our not Ready to Retire Toolkit, that's in the description below, but our Move Abroad Toolkit is in the description below too, and we talk about these things. All right, not understanding the healthcare system, overlooking legal requirements. Number 8.
Having unrealistic expectations.
What does that mean for us? What does that mean for Black Americans?
Don't go there thinking that you're going to be in the promised land, so to speak. Like
There
there's
is
going to
no
be no
promise.
challenges.
Yeah. I mean, there is no promised land for Black Americans. I'm sorry, there isn't.
No.
But there are better lands.
Not even in the homeland.
Right, not even in the homeland. But there are better lands. And so I think if you think that moving abroad is going to be a panacea for all of your woes, I can just say wherever you go, there you are. If you think that a place is going to be perfect, it's just not going to be. It's just not going to be. So I want to know, I can't remember who it was now, who said it was Nubianette, who said you needed two more
visits.
You needed 2 more visits. I want to know why you needed 2 more visits. And I'm not mad at you. Everybody's different. And you will not have unrealistic expectations, right? And so, just like with the healthcare system, yes, Portugal has true universal healthcare. But if you go to a public hospital and you're bleeding, you may still be sitting there in the waiting room of the ER for hours and hours and hours. So thinking that, but it's free, yeah. You as a legal resident, you will not necessarily have to pay anything more than a couple of bucks, but there are sheets on the beds. There are sheets on the beds. So
you don't have to have a credit card to pay right then and there.
You don't have to have a credit card to pay right then and there. But just know, everything is not going to go as planned. It's just not. It's the little things, the everyday little things that you just forget about that become one of the things that I've talked about on this channel is how long it took me to learn how to withdraw money from an ATM machine when I wasn't using my American card, when I was using our Portuguese bank account.
Because it spoke to you, it spoke back in Portuguese, or not
spoke It did back. Not even offer the option, the English option that's usually there. Once I put that Portuguese bank ATM card in, it was like, oh, you're Portuguese. We will commence in Portuguese. Never mind that word does not mean withdraw in English. It means something completely different that has nothing to do with the taking out of money. Nothing to do with it.
No.
Nothing to do with it. These are the things that you're going to deal with when you live in another country.
But you live and learn.
So you do live and learn.
You live and learn.
You do live and learn.
What is H&D?
H&D? Okay.
Hey, H&D abroad, how you doing?
We'll answer your question in a second. Unrealistic expectations. Yes, there are no Karens,
Mm-mm.
but
At least that you can understand.
they're not calling the police on you. That's for sure.
No.
They may be talking crap, but if you don't understand what they're saying, whatever. They're not calling the police.
And everybody talks loud anyway, so you wouldn't know if they were yelling at you or they just talking loud.
Yes. Portuguese people walk around with a frown on their face. No, I'm not going to say that. Lisbon people walk around with an apparent frown on their face. But I think it's from squinting from the sun, because that frown sometimes is still there when they're smiling.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're going there and you think that they're going to be welcoming you with open arms, welcome you Americans, that is just not the case. Are they saying, go home Americans? No, they're not. They don't know who you are, and you probably blend in, especially in Portugal. So they don't even know whether you're a visitor or immigrant or if you're born and raised in Portugal. They don't know. They don't know. But yeah, an unrealistic expectation would be thinking that everybody's going to be happy to see you as the great
Everybody's
saviors.
not happy to see you.
And that's just not going to be the case. So H&D asks, how much of Rick's tech equipment did you decide to bring?
I didn't bring. I mean, I'm kind of trying to downsize stuff. We brought lights for the studio, but they're not big lights. They're collapsible, movable lights. The microphones we use, of course, we have the big
Yeti.
what's it called? The Yeti, the blue Yeti microphone, which is cool. But that we just leave that in the studio now because if we're traveling, we need something to be very small, very lightweight. So we do the DJI microphone, wireless mic kits and stuff like that, and you can buy the attachments and stuff along the way. So all the lights that we're using right now are very small. I could put them in a case like that.
Yeah.
Because it just got to be too cumbersome carrying the ring light, carrying the Yeti microphone, carrying this and carrying that. And it's like I needed a whole separate suitcase just for stuff like that. So I said, we got to go even smaller.
Yeah. Yeah. What he didn't bring was his big screen. He has a big curved screen.
Oh, yeah.
Screen.
I didn't bring that. And I love that monitor. But
our heavier tripods and stuff like that, we didn't bring.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just have little stuff now. I'm just looking at the lights that we have. So, and the other thing is, y'all know, we go live regardless of where we are. If it's Sunday at 1:30 Mountain Time, 3:30 Eastern Time, we're going live. If you like this information, please hit the like. Thank you. But we're going live. So when we do house sits, and we go for house sits and stuff like that, we're going live, right? So we only do house sits where they have high-speed internet because we will be going live.
So H&D, you can reach out to me too, and I can let you know some of the equipment that we decided to go with to make life easier.
Yeah. We do sometimes put our equipment, in the description below, but usually only when we're talking about side hustles and things like that. So it won't be in this description. So, all right. So High Vibe asks, I imagine moving abroad reveals how much over consuming we do as Americans. Indeed. Like I was looking at the stuff that people were buying who went to the Our Rich Journey meetups, and maybe even a few people who were at our meetups. And it was the things that you buy when you think that this is a trip of a lifetime. This is going to help me remember my time in, Madrid, my time in Paris, my time in Rome. Well, that's not what we want for you.
No.
Right? We want you to be travelers, not tourists, right? You are going to be people, if you're not already, people who travel and experience on a regular basis. And therefore, you're not accumulating things to help you remember because you might be back in a couple of years, right? So that's one of the things that I noticed, that the people who were there for the meetups were really into this buying things that had no intrinsic value. Like it didn't do anything. It just sat there like a snow globe, right? It just sits there and takes up space. And I like not having a bunch of stuff to clean up. I just do. So yeah, the other thing that has been interesting is, going into the grocery store, and I'm sure you've heard this from other folks, but all of the choices. Oh my God, there's like 15,000 different breads, and they're all $5 a loaf, which is just incredible. Hey, Marguerite, glad you joined us. Nobody wants to work forever.
Mm-mm.
Nobody wants to work forever. Okay, I'm not sure how far behind I am. Let's see, 232. Ooh, I'm really far behind.
Let me give a quick shout out too.
Okay, go ahead.
So H&D Abroad, you guys check them out if you haven't checked them out. They have a great channel, and they're growing. So help them grow. Subscribe to them. Give them thumbs up. Check them out. They're fam.
Yeah, but don't subscribe if you're not going to watch.
Yeah, make sure you watch.
What about TSA luggage straps?
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, those could work too, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure those would have worked. I guess there's a way we probably could have gotten those to work with our rolling duffel bags, but oh, ship my bags doesn't ship to Ecuador. Oh darn.
Hmm.
There is another bag company. If you Google ship my bags, other bag companies will come up. Yeah, and Auntie Trey's talking about $9 eggs. So I think the saran wrap works better than luggage straps, because I think luggage straps are still, I think, to me, luggage straps are to make sure your luggage doesn't come apart, not to dissuade somebody from going in who has no business going in and stealing something. Like the people who stole all of that stuff out of ours, we had zip ties and they just cut the zip ties.
They
So
put the zip ties
they
on.
put the zip ties on, they cut the zip ties off. I don't know, like, was it at the screening that they stole the stuff?
I think that they marked that bag. I really do.
They put zip ties on all of our stuff. But yeah, I do too. I do too. I think they put them on because they knew. What did you bring to Portugal that you wish you hadn't?
Everything I had brought to Portugal, I used. Wasn't anything that I brought to Portugal that I didn't need.
I can't think of anything that I haven't used either. A couple of pairs of shoes with heels, but I still plan to wear them somewhere. But I'm going to take them in my bag and change when I get there because the shoes are cute and I look cute in them. But I ain't walking up and down them cobblestones with them.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I don't have a lot of clothes anymore. I just don't. And so there's some things that I wish I would have brought that we didn't. I could have brought the Soda Stream because they have Soda Stream there. And so I ended up buying another Soda Stream. So I wish I would have brought that. Um, and some other kitchen stuff that I wish I would have brought that I'm going to bring this time. Other than that, there's nothing that we brought that I did that I wish I hadn't or has been superfluous. If anything, I don't think I brought enough. So, a couple more um, pillowcases I should have brought. I mean, we can buy them there.
Yeah.
We can buy them there, but but why buy when I had them? So I felt such a community when I visited Portugal in February. Yay! Right, Laura? It was good to see you. Such like minded folks. Miss y'all. It's going to be a minute before I'll qualify for the D7. Oh, no. Well, get a 100% local job and come over on the D8. Don't wait. Find the loopholes. Get a 100% remote job and come over on the D8. I want to ship my plant babies. Ooh.
Yeah, you're going to probably need a special.
I have no idea how to do that.
Yeah.
If anyone in the chat can let Fair Exchange on Robbery know how to ship plants.
Yeah.
I'm literally just returning from our county recycling center with electronics. Yep. It is so easy to accumulate that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. So if you're just tuning in, we are talking about the biggest mistakes made when moving abroad, specifically what we would have done differently had we had it to do all over again. So number 1, insufficient research. Number 2, underestimating the cost. Number 3, ignoring language barriers. Number 4, overpacking. 5, failing to establish a support network. 6, not understanding the healthcare system properly. 7, overlooking legal requirements. 8, having unrealistic expectations. Number 9,
Poor time planning.
just like I was talking about with the FBI, and that's why it was top of mind. Y'all know you need to understand, not underestimate how long it's going to take to get things done. So I underestimated how much time we would need to declutter because in my mind, I had been decluttering for years. I had been taking stuff out of my closet, getting rid of stuff that I haven't worn. Um, but I had 3 closets, and I don't think I thought about the fact, yes, I've gotten rid of things that I haven't worn, but I still have so much. And where am I going to put all of this stuff? Right? He got rid of like 15 suits. So he's talking crap about me.
I was more like
20 suits. So much stuff. And had I had 20 suits, of which I wore 18 of them, I would have only gotten rid of 2 over the years, right? Like, so, but 18 suits in a Portuguese closet, in the average Portuguese closet, ain't happening. Like, you will fit nothing else if you can fit those 18 suits. It's just not a thing. So I did not estimate the time needed to properly declutter in a meaningful way without having to rush.
And I kept 3 suits.
Yeah.
I kept a blue, a gray, and a black.
There you go. What more do you need? So in my mind, so the other thing about time planning. So if you guys remember, we dropped my dad off in LA, tried to get my mom situated when we were in LA, then went to Portugal, then went to Mexico to change our visas for our Mexican green cards before we came back to the States to go to Portuguese immigration. So we were doing both at the same time, getting Portuguese and Mexican residency at the same time. And basically, I was the one planning everything and getting the paperwork together. So in my mind, I had gotten all the paperwork together already. And I had, as far as the financials and everything like that, except for the last month that we would need.
Right.
What I totally forgot about was the fact that our FBI, in my mind, we'd already done that because we had, but it expired. And so I totally forgot about that. And then totally forgot about the fact that we had to, because we were not turning in our passports to immigration, that we would have to get our passports notarized and give them notarized copies of our passports in lieu of the passport itself. They would only accept American notaries, and we were in Mexico.
In Mexico, yeah.
There is no USPS, United States Postal Service, doing electronic fingerprinting in Mexico, y'all, in case you didn't know.
No.
So the timeline, it's so funny because we had a client that had a Excel spreadsheet timeline that was color coded when everything needed to be done by in order to overlap in the right way. And I just laughed. Hey, I'm not mad at him. If y'all are watching, y'all are on point. I probably should have had the same thing. And had I had the same thing, maybe we wouldn't have been in Cancun at the Exodus Summit meetup with you talking about, looking at the list of the things that we need, saying, what are we going to do
We
about?
need the FBI redone.
We need the FBI background redone, and then what are we going to do about these passports, the notarization?
And then you think, well, so for fingerprints, just go to a police station, because you're thinking, I just go to they do fingerprints in police stations all the time, wherever you are.
Right?
Nope. Or what about the consulate? Nope. Or what about the embassy, the American embassy? Nope. Didn't offer fingerprinting services whatsoever. So we talked to the FBI, and they said, "Oh, you can do them yourself. We'll send you the template, and you can just get an ink pad and
Print it out.
and do your own thing." And
So
that's what we did.
We were doing our own fingerprints. For those of you who've been with us, y'all know the story. I sent 3 copies. He sent 2 copies to the FBI. We got it done. Obviously, we're legal, we're official residents of Portugal, but that was poor. That was poor planning on my part. We could have. It cost us so much. Back to the budgeting. Had we done it before we left, again, right? I think it was $50. Is it $50 to get that done?
Well, we're not even talking about the Ubers that we had to take.
Right. No, I'm just saying what the FBI charges, 25 a piece, I think. Right. So I think it's $25 a piece it charges. So you pay online, then you go to your local post office that has the digital fingerprinting. You do the fingerprinting there. They send it digitally to the FBI, and boom, you're done. $25, $25. They mail it to you.
Mail you a copy. Yeah.
Mail you a copy. That's included in the price. They'll send you an email with the information as well. That's included in the price. But when you're in another country, you still can go online and fill out the paperwork as if you're going to do everything digitally and pay your $25. But then we had to go around trying to figure out where we were going to get copies made. We had to go around and figure out where we were going to ship. Where's the FedEx office and what do they have in it? How are we going to take something from a flash drive and print it out? Where can we get that done? Because the Kinko's World Center was as big as a walk-in closet.
No, that's FedEx.
Oh, FedEx World Center. Right, because it's FedEx Kinko's.
What?
Here in the States, it's FedEx Kinko's.
It's just FedEx down there.
It's just FedEx. There ain't no Kinko's. There ain't no Kinko's.
So we had to go to
a papeleria.
No, well, that's for the other place we went to get the copies made for the cards. Was what's the name of the stores? Would they have them here too?
Walmart?
No. The oh God, I'm having.
Okay, I don't know. I don't.
It'll come to me.
I know we got some copies made at FedEx. We got some copies made at a papeleria. We had to get the ink pads and stuff from Walmart.
We didn't. It wasn't copies we had made at FedEx because they couldn't copy anything, and they sent us. We had to go further into Puerto Vallarta, so we had to catch another Uber, leave, and go to another whole different place in Puerto Vallarta. There was a store. It was God. What's the name of the store?
It was like a Office Max.
Office Max. Office Max.
Yeah. So long line, but we got that done. But we didn't get everything done. So then we had to find the papeleria who could print something from a flash drive, and between the Ubers and the DDs and the copies and the ink pad and the this and the that and the card stock and all of this other stuff that we had to purchase. it probably added on an extra $120 to what was a $50 task. So not only did the budget then have to adjust, but we also, that was poor planning on my part, just totally poor planning. I would have taken more time had we done the time planning correctly. I would have taken more time to really go through our mementos and our keepsakes, right? You mentioned that earlier, but I'm still scanning stuff and I'm feeling rushed. I'm feeling rushed. I don't have enough time to absorb it and think, is this something that I really want to keep? And then where would I keep it digitally? So, um, and then of course the time planning to declutter properly,
Yeah.
right? Because we're going to be throwing away some stuff that probably could have found a better home in a recycler or an upcycle type of place. But I don't have time for that. So we're saving the best for last. So let's see what you guys are talking about before we get to number 10. So Portugal isn't your first thought. I have 3 years and the research is very enjoyable. Yes, France, I have family and I'm still thinking about a country in Africa. Okay, although the Algarve is basically Africa.
Pretty much, isn't it?
Is right there.
It's right there.
Right across the way.
Almost like you could take a canoe across, but I wouldn't advise it.
Yeah, don't sound like Sarah Palin. For those of you who are into politics, you know what I mean by that. But yeah, you could almost take a canoe. No, he's right. It's unlike the seeing, Russia from your backyard.
It just seems like, yeah, it's so close.
I'm just saying. There's a few spots where we can find the real deal, but we're in Colorado.
Hey, Lisa. Yeah, we're in the United States for now.
Are you bringing back any special seasoning or grits? Because of my lovely, lovely, lovely friends who brought me grits, I'm not going to have to bring back grits. I have enough to last for right now. But yes, I will be bringing some seasonings back.
And coffee.
And coffee. I'm looking for some of the stuff that I'm hoping my daughter did not throw out. Some special Mexican seasonings. That's the big thing. Like anything that's really indigenous to North America is hard to find. So sassafras, which you put in gumbo, could not find it. Things like that. So, think about where it's a staple here in the US, right? So Mexicans, there's not a lot of Mexicans in Portugal. I bet you there's more in Spain. And Spain has a special deal with all of their former colonies, all of their Spanish speaking countries. They have special ways for them to get visas and they have better flights. So less expensive flights. Mm-hmm. So may be able to find Mexican food more available in Spain, but not as much in Portugal. But we've got 4 spots that I know of in Lisbon that have real deal Mexican food. 28 different types of tacos, right? Are you planning to go back to Mexico anytime soon? We thought we were going to be going back on this trip, and then one of our best friends decided to have a 60th birthday party. And so we are rushing back for that. We are rushing back for that. So Raquel says, is the tap water in Portugal safe to drink? Yes, it is. I want to say they have the 2nd or the 6th best water in all of Europe. It's up there. I'm just saying. And the tap water here is not safe to drink. I don't drink the tap water. Yes, I might be bringing back some corn tortillas. I might be bringing back some corn tortillas and some cornmeal. I've found corn flour, but I have not found cornmeal. Yeah, we do have a lax definition on what water is safe to drink, right? Yes!
All right.
Yes, Marguerite! Yes, 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 yes.
Wow. Wow. Cool.
I can't wait for you to move back. We're going to have fun. This is going to be good stuff.
There's so much stuff going on in Portugal right now.
What type of, so what, fun stuff?
Oh man, fun stuff.
Yeah.
Folks are just all out and about doing all kind of crazy. Well, Lionel Richie was there last night.
Yeah.
So yeah, folks are out there having a good time.
Definitely. So what we had to show, for 3 of the years, we couldn't log in anymore because the company that he worked for had changed insurance companies. But what we did have was the proof on our
Pay stubs and stuff.
yeah, W9, no, W4, W2, on the W4, I guess, that you get, and it shows how much money was taken out for health insurance. And because now that they said you can't tax people for not having insurance, since the Supreme Court has done that, I don't know if they still include that on your stubs or your W2 or W4, whatever you get at the end of the year. So, and then for the other 2, we just got proof of insurance from the company for the other 2 years. You might need to. But you might not need to include COBRA, Greta. Look to see, because you're in New York, right? And yeah, look to see what's on the New York Healthcare Exchange. I'm paying, for full coverage, I'm paying 29 cents per month. So look to see what's on the exchange. You might not have to pay for expensive COBRA. I did pay for expensive COBRA for 2 months or so. Tacos on us. We'll meet you at the taco spot, Marguerite. We will meet you at the taco spot. Folks in Lisbon know, if you want to get me out the house, promise me tacos. Promise me tacos. Okay, we're going to get to the last one. Let me just look to make sure there's no more questions. So, yeah, we're at 2 hours. So I want to wrap this up. Some hospitals don't provide meals either. Yeah, I've heard that. Sheets and meals are standard in Portugal. True. It's George. Hey, George.
Hey,
Hi,
George.
Ricks. Yes, if the situation you came is not a priority, you're going to stay there for a long time. No, like, yeah, right. So, I mean, some guy was actually bleeding out, but if you just have like, forget about it. You're going to be waiting. $35,000. Oh my gosh. See, George, you see what we have to deal with? Do you see what we have to deal with? Okay, Nana, we got you. Just make sure you come back to ask questions. I FedExed my passport for my visa to be inserted. FedEx told me Monday, and I checked and it got there Friday, so I'm guessing I'll have my visa by Tuesday.
Cool. Yes.
Yay! You got your stuff so fast. It's amazing. If you have a question or comment that you want up, put a Q in front of it. I'm retired military and plan on using Space A military flights to travel around the world. I'm working on the logistics to ensure the process goes well.
Oh, okay.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. No. It does not exist. Do you know there's a group of people who think Wakanda's a real place, y'all? We are not doing a good enough job in our schools. We're moving with our teenager. Yay! I'm so happy for your teenager. We're thinking about the Algarve. Is Faro a good place for a 17 or 18-year-old? No. don't know. I don't know. I don't have kids, but I would say no. I would say it's more retiree-y. I think he needs to be in Lisbon or in the Lisbon metro area. There are, I think, for English speaking Black kids, which I'm assuming he is, there are going to be more in the Lisbon metro area for that soft landing until he gets his sea legs, so to speak. Um, I would go do an extensive trip to the Algarve and then also to other areas in Portugal that you're thinking about to see. Get in the Facebook groups. Um, I don't know anyone who lives down there with kids, but that doesn't mean that they don't. That doesn't mean that they don't. Okay, it's just that I don't know anyone who lives down there with kids. Everybody that I know who has moved with kids, are in the Lisbon metro area. And I say metro area because that's from Sintra to Sesimbra and everything in between. Anywhere where you can use that card, right? Alice and Rick, are you guys used to Portugal traffic and Uber Bolt driver skills? No, no, we're not. No, we are not. And
I don't think you ever can get used to it.
George, are you used to it?
You just say a prayer.
Are you used to it, George? Look, no. Can you take your high-speed Wi-Fi with you like T-Mobile? You mean like a hotspot?
Yeah, you probably can.
But I mean, the cost,
whatever the plan is.
Like I would, I would not take. I would pay as little as possible to keep your American number. So that's that. Any hotspots and things like that, turn that in. Get a hotspot in Europe if that's where you're coming. It's going to be much cheaper. We pay $55 for both of our cell phones. And we probably could find something cheaper. I know that they had a sale where it was cheaper. And if we had our internet and cable package all packaged together, it would be cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at some old bills. We were paying 200 and something. So, all right. I'm still visiting here since going to your meetup. Yay, Shara!
Wow.
And I have resisted buying those touristy items.
Good.
Get patches and sew them onto a jacket. That way you can remember all the places that you've been. And you're not taking up space and you still get a little memento. But yeah, we're not there. Wish we were. We are so homesick. I'm so homesick. I'm doing puzzles of, landscapes and things of Europe. I'm so homesick. I just want to be out of this place. So, all right. The last thing on our list, and this is the most important thing, I think, and it's a come to Jesus moment for me, although I've felt this for quite a while. And so number 10, I'm going to read it, disregarding personal well-being and or the impact of family and family obligations. So amidst the excitement and challenges of moving abroad, it's easy to neglect self-care and mental well-being. Take time to prioritize your physical, emotional health and maintain balanced lifestyle and seek support if needed, as well as making sure that you are handling your family obligations before you leave. So what does that mean in our life? So y'all know that I am the power of attorney for my mom and dad. My mom still lives alone, though she shouldn't be. And she cannot afford her lifestyle. Rick and I have been subsidizing her lifestyle since 2014 or so, all right? And she conveniently forgets that. So the biggest mistake that I feel like I have made, and Rick, being the sweetheart that he is, has just gone along with it, is not putting my foot down and making sure that my mom was in a sustainable situation before I left the first time. So before we even went on the scouting trip, because we knew as of the scouting trip, we basically had left the United States. We were coming back here to pack our stuff and leave. So basically we have been gone since last June. And I should have made sure that she was in a sustainable situation back then, because now we have less time, the situation is more desperate, and she is less likely to go for something than she was before. It's just worse now. It's just worse. And so her capacity has declined substantially. And she will admit it some days, and some days she won't. But she is less able to take care of herself today than she was a year ago. So we're in a more desperate situation. And as I've said before, I would have no stress in my life if it wasn't for my mom. Like, my mom creates 100% of the stress that is in my life. Because before that, stress was work and stress was money. Well, we did what we needed to do for money not to be a stressor anymore. So all of the mistakes that we made, we were able to pivot. We were able to um, move in a different direction because we had the money to do so. Right now, we are paying 100% of the mortgage of the condo in LA, and that's not sustainable. But because we saved the money that we did, right? Um, we could pay it for another year without it changing our lifestyle whatsoever. We could pay it for a year after that without it changing. But I don't want to. I don't want to. And that was not the plan. That was not the plan. So, the last part of our trip will be making sure that she's either in a different situation or the process has started so that she will be in a different situation in the next month or so, with everything else organized so that the change can happen. So if that means movers already hired, etc., then that is already done. And whatever family help that I need that I've already asked and secured they're okay to for them to help, etc. I I I think that I have been dreading this trip mostly because I knew I would have to deal with her, and it's not just the situation, it's her. It's her and her attitude. It's not just having to get through the bureaucracy of finding the help and all of that stuff. Biggest mistake.
Yeah, but it has to be corrected.
Well, yeah, it has to be corrected, definitely. Um, but I don't know that I could have done it any differently. And so this is where I want you guys to give yourself grace, because at the time I literally was planning two residencies, working, planning our YouTube channel, didn't know if he was going to participate, and taking care of my dad full time. Um, and I just couldn't put anything more on my plate. I had just had it. I had just had it, and I wanted out. And if she was going to sit there and argue with me, and I was going to let her hit rock bottom, and it's like, then maybe you'll ask for my help and we'll straighten it out. Well, she has hit rock bottom and she's just gotten used to it.
This is true.
She's just gotten used to it. Like, she's had to change her bank account several times because she's giving away information on the phone. I mean, it's just gotten out of control and she's gotten used to it. And so my plan did not work. But the biggest mistake is not handling all of your personal business before you leave, and knowing that you have to come back to still handle some of that stuff. The United States, just the idea of the United States reminds me of the most stressful times of my life. And maybe, excuse me, that is one of the reasons also that I was dreading it. I don't like, my worst memories have happened in the United States. Why? Because I've lived here all my life. Right? So that makes sense. But yeah, all my bad memories are tied to the United States. Why would I want to come back? I don't have any bad memories yet. of living in Europe, thankfully. Right? So it's a happy
Yeah.
place. It's a place where I am my best self, I think. I think I'm less stressed, which means I'm less impatient. I'm more go with the flow. Sure, let's do whatever. Um, and all of that. So starting from 1 to 10, and then we'll get to the last parts of your comments. Number one, underestimating. Number one, insufficient research. Number two, underestimating costs. Number three, ignoring language barriers. Number four, overpacking. Number five, failing to establish a support network. Number six, not understanding the healthcare system. Number seven, overlooking legal requirements. Number eight, having unrealistic expectations. Number nine, poor time planning. Poor time planning. And the last one, number 10, disregarding personal well being and your family obligations, personal obligations. I didn't even talk about how sick I was trying to manage all of that stuff. You guys have heard the story. I mean, I'm 20 pounds heavier now. I don't have more hair, but maybe I've got thicker hair because I was losing my hair, losing weight, stressed out, trying to do everything. And I wasn't asking him to do enough. And he wasn't volunteering. You didn't know what to volunteer to do, did you?
No, I didn't.
So that's my fault too, right? So Black women, do not try to do it all on your own.
No.
If you have a partner, ask them for help. Ask them for help and don't assume that they should know.
Sometimes you might have to show them how to do what you need to have done, but we're here willing to help.
Yes. So servant teacher Nikki is using Pet Relocation International to ensure their large breed of dog gets to Spain safely. We have not transported any pets, and y'all know we had to put our pet down. So he never got to see what we saw.
It was a great month for a scouting trip.
Okay, my luggage and clothes. Halisi, my moving is only related to my retirement. I started thinking about it in 2017 because of my French nephews asked me to move to France for retirement. Then I thought about Ghana. We want you in Portugal, Nubian Ed. That's close enough to France. That's close enough. Did I miss a question?
Yes,
Right
right
here.
there.
What is a great month for a scouting trip? And is a tap water safe? Okay, so yes, tap water safe. It depends.
I was going to say it depends. People will tell you the best time to come is when the weather is at its worst, when
Right.
it's cold. If you're thinking about moving here,
Well, it depends. Do you hate the cold or hate the heat? If you hate the heat, come in the hottest month. If you hate the cold, come in the coldest month.
and the cold is nothing like Chicago or Denver or there's no snow.
No, there's
At
no
least not
snow.
Lisbon.
Right. I would equate the worst of a Lisbon winter to a Bay Area winter, and the average Lisbon winter to a Southern California winter. I would say like a San Diego, because San Diego tends to have more humidity than LA. So yeah, we figured out how to do our notary online for our passport,
Mm-hmm.
but we ain't know. So we were trying to find out if the American consulate would notarize it, and we found out through the expat group that they wouldn't, but then later found out on their website that they would. So if you're in Puerto Vallarta, that consulate will notarize. All right, I think we've done it. Y'all know moving abroad can be life changing. We are on a mission that all free thinking Black folks make a plan to leave the United States, move to a country where you can find joy and peace in your everyday life, right?
Yeah.
Where there's no Karens or Kens trying to call the cops on you, where your dollar goes further, where you can shed all of the nonsense that America, puts out there, all of the armor that we have to put on, all of that stuff. where you can do the things that you love to do at a price that you can afford. Rick cannot find Starbucks French roast coffee in Portugal. There's Starbucks, but not French roast. Guys, did you miss my question about paying for private Portuguese hospital bills with my USA visa? I obviously did. Sorry about that.
Can you pay the bill with
Do
your
you pay?
Visa card?
So for your
Yes.
private insurance, yes.
Yeah.
For a hospital,
Yeah. You can pay
yeah.
your bill with Visa.
We don't have Portuguese, we don't have European credit cards, and we use our American credit cards
Yeah.
for just
You can
about
use your American credit card.
everything, except for the small mom and pops that don't take credit cards. Do you think the Portuguese culture know how dangerous America is? No, they do not.
They might be starting to get a hint, but no, they don't.
Yeah, tourists, but to live there, no. There's cornmeal or corn flour at your outshot. Please leave information regarding Mexican food. Um, if you are in our Facebook group, Samantha, are you in our Facebook group? I can put it in there. I don't know if you'll find it here, because I have to look. I can't remember the name of the place. We just know the spots to go to. We know the spots to go to, or you can email me, hello@ourblackutopia.com. But I'll put the stuff in our Facebook group too. I see there's a Smooth Jazz Festival in the Argyle. Nice lineup. Yep. There's lots of free jazz festivals and music concerts as well as paid. Yes, Medicare can count for part of the 5 years. I'm just saying.
Do it.
I'm just saying. Krishan, were the tacos on point or what? Were the tacos on point? They were. We love Coimbra. It's steep. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Got friends that live there.
We do have friends that live there. We do have friends that live there. So it's too small for me. What about you?
I prefer Lisbon over Coimbra.
Yeah. And it's just because there's more going on in Lisbon and it's bigger. Coimbra's beautiful.
Coimbra is very beautiful.
It's really beautiful. It really, really is. And if you are a smaller town person, check out Coimbra.
Yeah.
And they say that people are more friendly in Coimbra and in Porto. I didn't see it. But the people of Porto and the people of Coimbra say they're more friendly. Don't you like it here better than you like Lisbon?
I enjoyed Porto a lot.
Interesting. Go to Lagos, they say, if you're interested in the Algarve, not Faro. Okay. So I'm assuming you're talking to the person with the kids. Do you think Portugal knows how dangerous? Yeah, no. No. They don't. So we're kind of behind. I'm going to try to hurry up and catch up. Is dental more affordable than the US? We're going to be, hey, Dr. Ray, yes. And we will be doing a show at some point. I've got it scheduled for the end of August. I need to go back and get my teeth cleaned. So I will let you know how much that costs. Healthcare is more affordable. So I'm assuming dental is more affordable. I'm also thinking about getting Invisalign just to get my teeth straight again. So if I do that, we'll let you guys know what the cost of that, or if I just even get
somebody was answering. Antonio was answering. Antonio F. down right there. He was answering Dr. Ray.
$10 for a full consultation with x-rays included. €10, I mean. Okay, Antonio. So €10 is affordable. Um, and I'm going to assume that everything else is going to be affordable as well. So, um, so yeah, the caretaking part with aging parents. I got my dad into a boarding care in California, and I'm not going to move him. He is in a good place now. Every time I talk to him via video, he's happy. He's happy to see me, happy to hear from me.
Val, no, you have to go to the VFS center that is according to the state you live in. Like if you live in California, you got to go to the one in San Francisco. If you live in Denver, you have to go to the one in San Francisco.
Yeah,
So different areas of the country go to different VFS centers.
for
But
for Portugal.
for Portugal,
Now I don't know about any of the other countries that VFS services, and for Mexico, they don't use VFS. You can go to any consulate or the embassy. So, hey, Tunisia, that's okay. We are wrapping up as soon as I make sure that we haven't missed any questions. And if I have, please put it at the end. I'm at 3:46 right now, so I'm 10 minutes behind. So if you put something above the time stamp of 3:46, put it again at the bottom because I missed it. So put a Q in front of your question. Does Portugal have the stinky seaweed like Playa del Carmen? No,
mm-mm.
no. And I heard that that's just seasonal, that it goes away in the wintertime, right? Or is it not going away anymore because of global warming? Yes, Tunisia, definitely catch the replay. That's me doing it all on my own with my mom. I'm an only child and single. I'm at the very beginning of this new journey, but so looking forward, many things to do. Thank you for sharing. Give yourself grace. There may come a time, because it came a time with me, where I was no longer mentally capable of taking care of my dad full time and not be and be a good daughter at the same time. And in my mind, he was never going to live in a facility. But I can't do all of that. And I'm not going to do all of that. It would just make me angry. Right. So having to bathe him and do all that kind of stuff, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And it's okay. It is okay. I can be a much better daughter now than I could when I was angry that I had to do all of this. So think about that. Think about the relationship that you have with your mom and make plans for a time when you no longer are capable of doing all of the things
Right.
24 hours a day. Make a plan for when you don't want to do all of the things 24 hours a day, because it took 2 years for me to navigate the system in order to figure out how I could get him 24-hour care at a price that we could afford. So have grace and don't feel guilty if and when the day comes when you said, I've had enough. I've had enough. We loved Porto.
Yeah, really like Porto a lot.
Not enough to move there. It's steeper.
It's a lot steeper. But it was fun. It's a beautiful place. I look forward to going back and visiting again. Maybe not in the winter, but
Yes, transition to tech. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is our neighborhood in and around Lamert Park. And that would be lovely. Hello at ourblackutopia.com. And that's another reason to put, this is another reason why we don't keep, you know, keep your business behind closed doors. If you keep all of your business behind closed doors, you can't get help. The only reason I was able to find the place for my dad in the amount, especially within the amount of time that I had allotted, is because I put it out there. And people asked people who knew people who knew people. And
Mhm.
finally, we figured out that we knew someone who worked in the system, and they helped me navigate the system. Otherwise, so thank you, Transition to Tech. I really, really appreciate that. Smaller than both Boulder and Fort
Yeah, a
Collins.
little bit smaller than that.
I mean, you have to remember, Portugal, the country of Portugal, has as many people as LA County.
Yeah.
The country of Portugal has as many people as the county of LA. The country of Portugal has the same amount of people as the state of Colorado. I think I think Portugal has a lot of bike friendly areas.
Hmm.
There's lots of bike paths in Portugal, in the cities that we've been in Portugal. It's the hills.
I mean, and it's what's nice about it is now they've added electric bikes and scooters to our Navigante cards.
Yes, so we can rent that as part of our met as our public transportation system. Cards will allow us to rent those for free. Um, yeah, well, Krishan, we'll see what they say about Invisalign. So it's not called the taco spot. It's
Mm-mm.
called La something. And then there's La Fugitiva. They own this other place
The
called
taco
La
bar. Yeah.
Mau something. And then there's a couple of places this other Mexican lady owns. And no, none of them are called the taco spot. But the taco spot that we're talking about is La Malca something. It was in the video, the meetup video. And it is down there in Bica or Bica. So yeah. All right, you guys, we're gonna go. It's 2 hours and 31 minutes, and we're still on here. I just paid 125 for an exam and X-rays, no work other than dental. FYI. Here or there, BP? Where did you pay for that? Has anyone driven to Mexico? Now, you know that Lamar and Angela drove to Mexico. So they are putting out all of the videos right now that they did with
Hmm.
what it took to drive from Maryland down to Querétaro with their stuff and their dogs and their kids and their stuff and their stuff and their stuff and their private and their own van. So they did that. We also interviewed them on our channel last summer, so you can see that video as well.
Hmm.
Okay, $15 to $20 per consult. I'm wondering how much, like to get your teeth cleaned or to get a cavity filled. If anybody is from Portugal and can tell us that, what's life for single minority women living abroad? Life is good. Life is good, Celestial. Come on out in these international
Yeah.
streets. Life is good. I don't know what kind of minority you are, but if you are a person of color, you are in the majority on this planet. People of color are in the majority on this planet. And so we are everywhere. I have fibromyalgia. Do you think moving abroad could help? Yes. Yes. Because I think that a lot of these weird ass autoimmune diseases are from the crap that we eat and from stress. If you eat better food and eliminate the stress, it has to help. It has to
Yeah,
help.
I would think so.
Yeah. Taking care of others can be taxing. Which
It no
city
certain city.
is best for vegan and vegetarian food? It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. I don't think there's any specific city.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's all over every single town and city that we visited had vegan and vegetarian food. While going through it again, can you do YouTube on pain and work of getting rid of stuff? Can you do a YouTube? um, yeah, we might. Auntie Trey, yes. Malcarida. Maybe because I don't know what it means, or I keep forgetting what it means, that I can't remember the name of it. That's it. That is the taco spot. And they own La Fugitiva as well, but they have different menus. I prefer La Malcarida because I like their pastor. So Dental, Michigan, not sure. Not sure. I've never heard of Las Fichera, Haley. Is that in Lisbon? Las Fichera?
Sounds familiar.
Does it sound familiar to you? Doesn't sound familiar to me. Okay, we have done it. We have gotten to the end. We have answered all the questions. Arlene just drove from Virginia to Querétaro less than 2 weeks ago with a cat. I driving in Mexico with those laws, just be careful and make sure you are insured up the yin yang and
Yes.
that your people are going to be available for the whole time of your trip. Only drive during business hours. Seriously, because if you get into a car accident and have to end up in jail, it's just not a good look. And it's not because you do anything wrong. That's just their laws down there, right? So I'm always a little bit hesitant about driving in Mexico. But if you've got stuff, we know people who have done it, but plan accordingly. So y'all know we have a Move to Portugal Summit coming up the first weekend in November. That information is below. We have talked about moving abroad, the mistakes that we've made. If you've got more questions and you need to book a one-on-one call with us, we do that. We do that. And look at what our reviews are saying. People are saying that it has saved them so much time. We're not going to waste your time. We're not going to waste your money. And usually you get a little bit more time than you've paid for because it's more important to us
For
that
you to get it and understand.
get the help that you need
Yeah.
as opposed to, cutting you off at 30 minutes or cutting you off at 45 minutes or whatever. We don't do that. So you're very, very welcome. We had lovely 125 exam clean in Michigan. Oh, okay, that was in Michigan. That's not too bad because I think just the cleaning would have been $125 just for the cleaning, not for the exams or the x-rays and stuff like that without insurance.
I was going to say, is that with or without insurance?
Without insurance. So it should be free with insurance. So we also have Beyond the Bling. We are starting Beyond the Bling Money Mindset Makeover for Financial Independence is going on a subscription model. We're also going to do a subscription model for our community, our private community there. We have started reading Take Stock. It is a book about investing, take stock, and I think I posted it in the Facebook group as well. But we, as an investing group in the private community, will be discussing investing books as well as investing education and all of that stuff.
Tall boy.
Hey, tall boy.
Hey,
Good to
tall
see
boy.
you. Hope that you enjoyed your trip to the Azores.
Yeah.
We will see you the next time you swing through. We're in the States right now, unfortunately. So yes, we're going to be studying how to study the stock market and how to study individual stocks. We're going to start that. So we're going to start with reading and doing our research. So if you want to join the community, look for information on that. If you are in Beyond the Bling, you will automatically be part of the community and you'll be grandfathered in so that you don't have to pay the monthly installments. If you want to wait for the monthly installments, then do that. But that is going to be starting soon, as well as our masterclass for real estate investing that I have been working on. There's a lot going on, y'all. A lot going on, and you can find all of that information in the description below. So BP, we will talk about dental and health later next month, and as soon as I get some of the work done. See y'all. We love you. Thank you. Hit that like on the way out and share this information with a friend if you find it helpful.
Yes, yes.
All right. See you next week.
See ya.
Bye.